Hello and welcome to this episode in the Student Union's Question Time series. My name is Josh and I'm talking to candidates running for positions in the upcoming SU elections. Today I'm here with David and Yusuf, who are running for the position of General Secretary. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us. So the structure is going to be really straightforward. I've got a collection of questions, partly from us and partly from students, which I'll be asking to all of the candidates, and we're going to ask you to respond to that with the aim of finding out a little more about you, what sort of policies that you stand for. We'll be obviously running on our favorite platform, Zoom, because we loved it so much from lectures, we wanted to use it in our spare time as well. Before then we go to questions, though I've asked the candidates to prepare a very short opening statement. You guys will have about a minute. David, if we could start with you whenever you're ready.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who's tuning in to have a look at this. My name is David Gordon. I'm running to be your General Secretary. I spent the last roughly 8 months being your Community and Welfare Officer. During that, I secured £1 million extra funding for the counselling services at LSE. I built a prototype of a support map that shows the support available to LSE students in one place. I've secured some pro bono consulting to help the SU with its service delivery and governance structures, and I created Wind Down Wednesday. I'm the reason hedgehogs and dogs have been able to come to campus. As your General Secretary, I'm really keen to initiate some transformation. There's been a lot of things I've learned working within the SU that I want to change about it. That means bringing in experts in business and finance into our governing body, our trustee board, as well as getting consultants to help us work on our operating plans and our strategic plans. At the moment, we could use a lot of support around those. I also have some really fun policies around funding, such as the Faith Fund or the Transformation Fund, which is a form of participatory budgeting that makes students are able to democratically allocate funds for literally any projects that they want to. I've had a really good talk with the directorate and they're really keen to see some form of it happening, and we're quite confident that we can get some donor funding to make it a reality, and it would be really exciting. I've got a lot of other policies, so check them out. But yeah, that's me. Hi, thank you.
Thank you, David. Yusuf.
Yes, thank you, Josh and David, and thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Let me begin like this. Did you know that the LSE has never had a postgraduate General Secretary before? Or even if we might, there's no record of that. And did you know that we do not know when was the last time LSE had an international General Secretary? Again, we don't have any information about that. I'm sure you know the facts. LSE has almost 7,000 postgraduate students, which is about 55 to 60% of the student community. LSE has about 8,000 plus international students, which is again more than 70% of the international student community. So I, Yusuf Rafiq, am here as an international postgraduate student. I'm here to bring in a different perspective, a fresh perspective to the sabbatical team. Because to be truly representative of the student community of LSE, we need to really take in all the different perspectives and experiences that different students are experiencing, right, throughout their journeys. And I believe that I'm in a 2-year program right now. I'm doing a master's in management, and I am right now in my first year, but I consciously decided to run for this position at the end of my first year, not at the end of my second year, so that I don't need to, I don't join in at the end of my academic career. I'm in the middle of my academic career. I'm ready to take a break so that I can do my best to make a change, to bring about a change in the student community, and then also experience it. Stay on as a student to experience it afterwards for another year. And I envision the sabbatical team to be a good mixture of people from different, not only different academic disciplines, but also varying age groups and experiences. So I come with some work experience as well. I've worked previously in Hong Kong. I did an engineering degree before coming to LSE, and I worked in a startup as well. And just one thing I want to leave you guys with. So I've spoken to many people in the last few months, and one thing I noticed is that many people associate the SU with some amount of predictability. They know that, okay, the SU sabbatical team is going to be some undergraduate student who's probably going to be finishing their 3rd year and then spending a year there. It's completely fine with that. But then I felt like LSE is a place with more than 140 different nationalities being represented, right? So why don't we make the most of it? There is so much potential we can utilize. So I want to break that predictability, right? It doesn't need to be a final undergrad student. It can be anybody who can be a part of the SAB team and, make it a much more effective team. And remember, don't sleep on Rafiq. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf. So my first question is going to go straight back into the policies that we want you guys to put forward. And my question is going to go straight back to you. Yusuf, obviously participation, as you talk about in SU events, is often quite low. This might be UGMs or Michaelmas term elections and so on. How much is this a problem, and what are the policies that you're going to put forward to fix this?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, Josh. Yes, turnout for the SU events is low, and from many of the conversations that I've had, I've realized that one of the reasons is not knowing that stuff is happening, especially amongst the postgraduate students. So many postgraduate students do not even know that there's a monthly UGM. Actually, they don't even know that the UGM happens, and then it's usually a Thursday, it's usually towards the end of the month or sometimes at the beginning of the month, but then they don't have this information with them. So if they don't know about the UGMs, and what about the other list of events that the SU organizes? So a lot more needs to be done on the marketing, right? Or reaching out to the different student communities. And obviously one of the initiatives I have is that, according to me, the LSE-SU is doing a great job so far, but then they need to do a lot more to reach out to two particular communities, a part of the international student community and especially the postgraduate students. And so I plan to have policies which will bring in bring to the notice of the students the student union. So the student union is always at the back of their minds. They always think of the student union as a last resort for information, but I want to try to turn that to not being the last resort. And we can do that by saying that the student union offers services that they need. And one of the services that, one of the projects that I have promised in the manifesto is more support for student innovation. Many students are very talented, especially amongst the postgrads, but they don't know where they can go for financial and marketing support. And if the SU next year can provide that, then that's a very organic way of getting them to come to the SU for other events as well.
Thank you, Yusuf. David, the same question. How can we increase participation in LSE-SU?
For me, this starts at reassessing who we are as a union and what we're trying to offer to students. One of my policies is initiating a democracy review. It's fundamental to who we are as a union that we go out and ask students what they want from us. That means all students, all the way from your first year undergraduate through to the end of your PhD, if you're taught master's students, part-time, whatever the case may be. And we have to play, as a union, a really proactive role in engaging with students to find out exactly what they want. From that, you mentioned, Josh, you mentioned earlier UGM motions, union general meetings. From that, we'll hopefully get insights, we will get insights into how we can best facilitate student democracy, engagement, and interest in the union. There's definitely a lot more we can do, and a democracy review, identifying who we are as a union, who we are to our students, and what they want from us, that is the foundation, the fundamental way to begin that process.
Thanks very much, David. So obviously it's not just about getting students to engage. In many cases this year, actually student populations have been really engaged. We've had a couple of really large, high-profile movements, for example, like the Hands Off LSE movement or Freedom of Mind, that have been able to pass UGM motions and get a lot of a stir on campus. How would you make sure that these campaigns, which do have a lot of momentum, actually do end up and are facilitated to deliver on all of the outcomes and all of the policy change that they call for? David, can we go straight back to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there are two things there. How can we make sure that these motions are picked up and worked on by the Students' Union? And then how can we make sure that they're really effective campaigns? To the first one, it's a problem I noticed when I came in as an officer, that there wasn't a really clear structure for dealing with UGM motions once they had passed. I requested that the staff set up some kind of system. So we have something at the moment which logs staff and sabbatical officers who will lead on motions. That's fundamental to getting campaigns off the ground and running. I think what's really important is that we open them out to students. For quite a long time, it's been the case that a sabbatical officer takes the lead on a project and it kind of lives or dies with that sabbatical officer. We need to move to some sort of framework whereby there's a campaign that any student at LSE who wants to be involved in that campaign can come along to and have that involvement that they want to. And that's the most powerful way that we can sort of lobby the LSE on anything. Then to that second point on how can we make sure these campaigns are effective, that comes down to really quality planning. There are some fantastic staff members in the SU, in fact all of them are fantastic, and I know that with really detailed planning come fantastic campaigns. That's about having really clear aims and objectives with measurable outcomes, and for me that's probably the most important thing to making sure a campaign is effective. And that's something, if I'm elected General Secretary, I'll make sure we're on top of as a union.
Thanks so much, David. Yusuf, the same question. How can we make sure that student participation and student campaigns are meaningful and make real policy change?
Thank you, Josh, for that question. So the way I see it, to make student participation and student campaigns meaningful and make policy change, policy cannot be changed quickly. It probably will not change in 1 or 2 years. It's a long process. It's a sustained process normally. And if it's a long process, then there has to be some form of continuation. And given that LSE, most students either stay here for 3 years or just for 1 year, continuation becomes a challenge. So what needs to happen is there needs to be some kind of a database, right? Because every single year we have a new first year batch of undergrads and a completely new postgraduate student batch. That's more than 50, 60, 70% of the student population, which is new every year. So there has to be like this information database. So maybe like an online repository or a particular section of the website where it shows clearly which were the major campaigns and not just the last 3 years. Because every student who comes in has a certain passion, right? Somebody's going to be really passionate about sustainability. Somebody's going to be passionate about cleanliness. Somebody's going to be passionate about rights of workers. So if they see that, okay, 2 years back there was this campaign and maybe it has lost steam in the last 2 years, then we pick that up. So not only information about the campaigns, but also contacts of the people who were the student leaders back then, because then they will have the very valuable information to pass on to these new students. So I believe that is the first and most important step, which will eventually lead to policy change. And yes, so as I said, one of the policies will be to make sure this information is accessible in the website for the new students who come in.
Thank you. One other thing that is much discussed when it comes to General Secretary campaigns is that it is often true that the majority, if not all of the candidates running, especially for the top position, tend to be male. Do you recognize that this is a problem, and do you think, to what extent do you think this is sort of the result of a structural issue? And if so, what do you think you can do about it if you do take this position? Yusuf, we'll go back to you.
Oh yeah, very, very interesting question, Josh. Obviously, there's no right answer to this. But I believe one of the most important ways to try to make a change for this is to have a dialogue, right? Again, what is a General Secretary? What does General Secretary do? What are the responsibilities of the General Secretary, and how is it like being a General Secretary can usually be answered by people who've been in that position. So that means there has to be more communication between the Gen Secs and the students, especially those students who are keen on running or who just want to know more about that position. Now, what I would propose is, and I had this in mind like for quite some time, was that for sabbatical officers, it is very important to put themselves out there from the beginning, from September onwards when, Freshers Week and people are coming in, and talk to them about what they're doing and talk to them about some of the experiences they're facing. Because only when you get to know and you have more clarity about a certain position and the roles and responsibilities, will you be more and more interested, and then you reach a point where you know, okay, if this is for me or not. Is this for me or is it not for me? And another thing is also maintaining a record of the previous General Secretaries. So for example, just a couple of weeks back, I found out about Busayo twins. She was the first Black female General Secretary, right? So many people don't know about her. If people know that, okay, there was a person like this, that shows you that, okay, there has been a she, right? She was a General Secretary very recently. So I can be that. And so not only information about the General Secretaries, but also preferably their contact information, so we can reach out to them and ask them how did they do it, right? So we can do it as well.
Well, I'm not sure about the contact information, but the rest of that seems feasible. Thank you. And the same question to you, David. How is there a gender problem in the candidates running for General Secretary, and how can we fix it?
Yeah, look, I think there's no doubt the fact that currently the only candidates on this Zoom call are men. Historically, we've pretty much only had men apart from 2 female Gensecs, Nona and Basayo. I think that's really about what it's like to imagine yourself as a sabbatical officer. And I think for a lot of students, they're called to particular issues. And when that's the case, you're much more likely to go for one of the other sabbatical roles. And I think it also speaks to this greater thing in society where men are more likely to put themselves forward for a role that they're perhaps not as qualified for. I hope that's not the case with either myself or Yusuf. So I think there's work to do on demystifying what is the General Secretary, because there are some absolutely amazing women at LSE who could take on this role like nobody else could, and it would be fantastic to see them running. But we have to make that really clear. What is the role? Why would you be able to do it, and what vision could you shape for it? Because I think women tend not to step into the unknown quite to that level with roles like General Secretary, particularly taking the lead of an organisation. It's quite hard when you don't exactly know what the role is about. And then there's something about nurturing the talent that exists within LSE. Like I said, there are some fantastic people at LSE of all genders, and we need to be making sure that as a students' union and as a community at LSE, we're allowing people to see themselves, any person to see themselves in the kind of roles like General Secretary, like other sabbatical officers. And I think that's some work that we really need to do to make sure that there's more effective representation, not just of women, but of all people at LSE.
Thank you, David. So we are running low on time, so from now on, let's try and keep answers super concise. Next question, let's find out a little bit more about the two of you. Obviously, sabbatical officers that you'll be leading, the team that you'll be leading, will all have their own priorities and all have their own ways of working. What is it about you that means you'll be really effective at leading this team?
With time in mind, I'll just say one particular thing. I think that and you can talk to people who've worked with me on executive committee or the other sabbatical officers, when I contribute to a team, I'm not there to advance my own specific agenda. I'm really there to get the best outcome for the team and the people that we're serving. As a General Secretary, as I have been as Community and Welfare Officer, it's all about delivering the best thing possible for students. And I think I'm pretty well able to leave my ego at the door and facilitate a conversation to work out the best outcome the group can come to in a way that serves the students.
Thank you, David. Yusuf, the same question. What can you tell us that will make us believe that you're an effective team manager?
Yeah, thank you, Josh, for that very good question. So I grew up in India, and then when I turned 18, I went to Hong Kong to do my bachelor's degree. I stayed in Hong Kong for about 5.5 years. So I finished my engineering degree, and I worked for about a year, and mostly in a startup and in some other places as well. And then I came to the UK. So throughout this journey, especially in the last 6-7 years, I have lived and worked and studied with different kinds of people with different work styles from different backgrounds. And I have learned to really just adapt and be flexible. And that's one of the reasons why I'm even running for this, right? Because I'm sure even for David, it's something. Being a general secretary or being any sabbatical officer requires you to go outside of your comfort zone. And especially for the many international students, they know that when you leave your country to go and study in another place, you have to take that leap. And so I've taken that leap twice. And I believe that I've already stepped out of my comfort zone, and I have been successful at least in reaching here in LSE today, that I'm standing here trying to run for this position, which shows that I know that I cannot do this on my own. I know that it's always a team. I have not reached this stage as well on my own. A lot of people have helped me. So yes, flexibility and understanding and experience.
Thank you, Yusuf. One final question for you both. If you had to summarize your position and your candidacy in one phrase and not excluding your slogan, what would it be? We'll go back to Yusuf first.
Yeah. If it's just one slogan, then I would say that I want to bring the student union to the forefront of life at LSE.
Thank you. And David, you've got your microphone muted.
So if it's not Gordon gets it done, it's transformation that's meaningful.
Transformation that's meaningful. David, Yusuf, thank you very much. And for everyone tuning in at home, remember that you can access all of our videos interviewing all of the candidates running for the sabbatical and for the part-time officer positions across the SU's social media channels. Thank you to both of you for participating and for everyone for tuning in, and we hope to hear back from you very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, David.